Next I have a Runebinder by Alex R. Carla. This is a YA post-apocalyptic urban fantasy where the return of magic brought about the end of the world. And the world is overrun by necromancers and these undead monsters called Howls, who serve the Dark Lady, who is the goddess of death. And the world is ruled by the Kin, who are Howls, who are the children of the Dark Lady. And so this follows a hunter called Ten, who is a mage, but he's like a member of the Resistance who hunts Howls, and he lets off this just massive burst of magic that no human should be able to do, and it gets him noticed by the Kin as well as the leaders of the Resistance. And so he is contacted by a Kin called Thomas and Jarrett Townsend, who is a high-ranking hunter working for the Resistance. This is a good book. I've only read the first book, so I can't comment on the entire series, obviously. But it has great characters and a really cute romance. But the world building is very confusing, and the magic system is not that well explained. And there are some pacing issues as well. But I would still recommend it. In terms of representation, Ten and Jarrett are both gay. Thomas is probably gay, but I'm not entirely sure. And according to the author, every single major character is queer in some way. And like, he made it a point where this is a story which is the opposite of heteronormative, where you just assume every character is queer until proven otherwise. I quite like that. Next I have The Tarot Sequence by K.D. Edwards. And this is an adult urban fantasy set in the city of New Atlantis, which is ruled over by Atlanteans called the Arcana, who are creatures of immense magical power who are named after tarot cards, or the major arcana of tarot cards. And this follows a man called Rune St. John, who is the last remaining heir to the Sun Throne, whose entire family was slaughtered when he was 15. And Rune is hired to investigate the disappearance of another Arcana heir called Adam, who is the son of Lady Justice. And he also gets roped into agreeing to protect another Arcana heir, Matthias St. Valentine, until he turns 21. I've only read the first book, The Last Son, but it is absolutely incredible. There are some structural issues which are very noticeable, but the characters and the world building are amazing. Especially Rune is just an incredible protagonist, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series, or indeed the second book, since it's the only one that's out yet. In terms of representation, Atlanteans have a binormative society, Rune is gay, and there are a lot of major queer side characters as well. But so far, not any female ones, which is a bit weird, but I'm sure there will be in the future. Then there's Teeth by Hannah Moskowitz. And this is a YA urban fantasy-ish thing about a boy called Rudy, whose younger brother has cystic fibrosis. And in a last-ditch attempt to save him, his entire family moves to this remote island which has magic fish which are said to cure any illness and dramatically increase the lifespan. And on the island, Rudy meets a girl called Diana, and also a boy who is part fish, and I'm not going to anything more about it. This is one of my favourite books, but I hesitate to recommend it to people because it is incredibly disturbing and dark and bleak and depressing. Again, look at that Google Doc, because I haven't been saying content warnings for every series, but there are more that I've just forgotten to mention. For this series, there is just so much rape in this book. It's not on page, but it may as well be, and that is a confusing statement, but I promise it makes sense. And there is also a lot of torture and non-graphic bestiality. But it is an incredible book. In terms of representation, none of the characters have specific identities which are addressed, but there is an attraction between two male characters. That's what I will say. But yeah, it's really great, but decide whether you want to read it for yourself. I mean, you'll decide whether you want to read it for yourself for all of these, but I'm not going to recommend this to you. Next I have Valdemar the Last Herald Mage by Mercedes Lackey, and this is part of the overall Valdemar world. But the first book, Magic's Pawn, is about a boy called Vaniel, who is the son of a lord, who is kicked out of his house for failing to live up to his father's standards of masculinity. and sent to stay with his Aunt Seville, who is like a notorious hard-ass, who his father hopes will be able to straighten him out. In terms of representation, Vaniel is gay, both of his love interests are gay, and there are some gay side characters. In terms of what I feel about this series, I'm very conflicted. I loved the first book, I liked the second book, and I liked the third book, but I was disappointed by it, because the third book is just too short. Just way too short. And it has some really poorly handled sexual assault in here as well. But ultimately, I do think it's worth reading the whole series, because there is also some really cute romance in this book, which isn't in the others. But yeah, the first book is my favourite, and Vaniel is one of my favourite protagonists of all time. And my final one, which is on the more obscure side, is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. And the plot of this book is really difficult to explain, but I'm going to try. So, in the land of Virtuedom, legend has it that Saint Gallion Berethnet defeated the great dragon, the Nameless One, and imprisoned him beneath the earth. And it is said that so long as a member of his bloodline sits on the throne of Virtuedom, the Nameless One can never return. But the truth of what happened is quite different. So this follows four main characters, the first of which is Iad, who is a maid of the current Queen of Virtuedom, Sabran the Ninth, but she is actually a member of an ancient guild of dragon slayers who has been assigned to protect the Queen from assassination. Meanwhile, across the sea in the east, there is a girl called Tane, whose life's ambition is to become a dragon rider. And there is also Niclais Roos, who is a disgraced alchemist who was banished from Virtuedom. And the final protagonist is Lord Arteloth Beck, who is an ambassador to the Draconic Kingdom of Iskalin, which has recently broken away from Virtuedom and started worshipping the Nameless One. And he is on a mission to investigate the disappearance of the previous ambassador to Iskalin, who is Queen Sabran's father. This is a really great book. There are some great characters, great world building, some great mysteries, some really cinematic action, which is also incredible. There is a bit of an anticlimactic ending, but other than that, it's pretty brilliant. In terms of representation, Iad likes women, and as far as I can tell, she's probably gay, but it's not, like, ever explicitly stated what she is. Niclais is gay, and the other two protagonists might be asexual, but it's not confirmed. At least in the book. It could be confirmed by the author, but I'm not sure. And as well as that, Virtuedom is a land without homophobia, and they do have their equivalent of same-sex marriages. Oh, and Iad also has a love interest, who is obviously a woman, and there is a gay side character. I also want to give an honourable mention to The House of Mountfathom by Nigel McDowell, and this is a YA historical fantasy set during the Irish Revolution, and it is about a boy called Luke Mountfathom, who is the son of the most powerful wizard in Ireland, as he grows up in a world where magic is no longer relevant. This is only an honourable mention because there is nothing explicitly queer about the book, but Luke does have a very close relationship with another boy, which I interpret as romantic. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but I'm not going to get into them. But even if it's not queer, it is a great book, so pick it up anyway. Next I'm going to go over some long series with evolving queer representation. And the first of those is Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy, which is my favourite series of all time. And Skullduggery Pleasant is about a 12-year-old Irish girl called Stephanie Edgley, whose uncle Gordon dies and leaves his house and all of his money, much to the rest of the family's surprise, to Stephanie. And so events conspire that Stephanie is left alone in Gordon's house at night when a man breaks in searching for a key. And she is rescued from this man by Skullduggery Pleasant, a magical detective who just so happens to be a reanimated skeleton. Yeah, like I said, this is my favourite series of all time. The characters are amazing, it is incredibly intricately plotted, it is hilarious, it's dark, it's very emotional at parts, and yeah, I highly recommend it. In terms of queer representation, most of it comes in at the second phase of the series, and the first book of those is Resurrection, which is this one. But In the first series, there is a bisexual female character who is not revealed to be bi until like the 7th or 8th book in the series, and there are some minor queer female side characters, and there is a character that you could argue is trans, but it's because of some magic nonsense, so maybe not. And it's not revealed until the 12th or 13th book, depending on how you count it, but the protagonist herself is also not straight, and Sorcerer Society is binormative. But yeah, after Resurrection, there are a lot more queer characters. The plot of this book heavily revolves around a married gay couple, and there is a major gender fluid side character and a minor trans character as well. The next big series I have to talk about is the Shadowhunter Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, which is very popular, and I'm sure you know what it's about, but if you don't, it is about the half-angelic demon-hunting warriors called Shadowhunters, and it is broken up into multiple smaller series, which are The Mortal Instruments, which follows Clary Frey, who sees things no one else can. The Infernal Devices, which is set in Victorian London, which follows a girl called Tessa Gray, who is kidnapped and forced to unlock a strange power that she didn't know she had. The Dark Artifices, which is set 5 years after the end of the Mortal Instruments series, and follows Emma Carstairs as she investigates the deaths of her parents from 5 years ago. The Eldest Curses, which is a spin-off series to the Mortal Instruments, which follows Magnus Spain and Alec Lightwood, and The Last Hours, which follows the children of the characters from the Infernal Devices, and it is about a Shadowhunter called Cordelia Carstairs, who moves to London and attempts to ingratiate herself with powerful Shadowhunters for political reasons, and then a new type of demon appears, which carries a deadly plague and has the ability to walk in sunlight. In terms of representation, the Mortal Instruments has a gay main character and a bisexual male main character, as well as a lesbian side character and a bisexual female side character. It also has a bunch of other queer characters, but they're not revealed to be queer within this series itself, including an aromantic asexual character, a pansexual character, a transgender character, a couple more bisexual male characters, and another gay character. But that's all as far as I can remember. The Infernal Devices doesn't really have any queer main characters, but Magnus Bane, the bisexual main character from the Mortal Instruments series, does show up in this as a side character, and there is also a gay side character. The Dark Artifices is where it really starts to kick up the representation. So within this, there are 3 bisexual males main characters, there is a gay main character, there is a poly trio, there is a major transgender side character, and there is a major bisexual female side character and a major lesbian side character, who are both in the Mortal Instruments series, and Magnus Bane and Alec Lightwood, who are the gay main character and the bisexual main character from the Mortal Instruments series, both make an appearance in this as well. As far as I can remember, that's it, but I'm sure there's more. Oh, Hypatia Vex also makes an appearance in this, who is bisexual, but she's not revealed to be within this series, I don't think. The Eldest Curses follows Magnus Bane and Alec Lightwood's romance, so yeah, Magnus Bane is bisexual and Alec is gay. The lesbian side character and the bisexual female side character from the Mortal Instruments and the Dark Artifices also turn up in this in fairly major roles, and there is a bisexual male side character. And also the aromantic asexual side character from the Mortal Instruments has his sexuality revealed in this. And for The Last Hours, there is a major gay side character, a minor gay side character, a genderqueer lesbian side character, a lesbian side character, a bisexual male main character, and Magnus Bane puts in an appearance as well, so there's him. Hypatia Vex also shows up and she's bisexual, and that's it as far as I can remember. The pansexual side character has her sexuality revealed in the short stories, which I don't have with me, and I think there are probably a lot of other queer side characters who are revealed in the short stories. I've just remembered a couple off the top of my head from the Mortal Instruments series, so... But yeah, there are a lot of queer characters in this series.